What's up, everybody, and welcome to episode 13 of the War Room podcast. My name is Rob. This is my friend Andy. Man, I got to give you some props, man. Josh Allen come through again. Big win for you guys. Very happy to see that. I turned it off with about 11 seconds left, so I didn't get to see you guys kneel down on it or anything. But
All right, everybody, that's it for this week. So be sure to follow us at the War Room 33.
I couldn't keep a straight face. I really wanted to, but I couldn't do it. I'm sorry. How you doing, man? You all right? You good?
The saddest part, Josh Allen played a good football game. He threw 2 picks. That was tough. Our running game is completely lost. Our defense is stepping up, which is great. He threw that ball to Stephon Diggs, which is there's only a few quarterbacks that can make that throw on that deep out across his body, across the hash to a spot where only the wide receiver can get it, and Diggs caught it. The problem was, and we've talked about it on this podcast before, the Buffalo Bills decided with 30, not supposed to be 34, but it was 39 seconds left, didn't make a difference, to go into the wonderful defense known as prevent. So going into a prevent defense with a running quarterback who can extend plays and one of the best wide receivers in the game is never going to set you up for success. Granted, we had a lot of players around the ball, but all of them wanted to – I think they had the song playing in their head, the Foo Fighters' Hero from Varsity Blues, that when the ball was up in the air, they all just heard that song and just started going up for it and wanted to make the catch. When all you need to do is just punch the ball. That's it. You punch the ball, the game's over, we win the game. Instead, they're making that drive down the field. I look over at my beautiful wife and I say, we're going to lose this game. And we did.
Well, you got one right. To be fair, you probably look over to your wife every game and you say that, no matter what.
I say, hey, woman, where's my dinner?
No, you don't. No, you don't.
That's
you look over
true.
when you have your 49-0 lead over Cincinnati and go to your wife, we're going to lose this game.
And the fact of the matter is we still probably could because the Buffalo Bills enjoy that type of stuff. But big win for you guys. I mean, you guys now, I think Drew Lock is out of this year again.
Yeah, man. That was good. I mean, Denver's pretty bad, so I'm not going to get overly excited about it. But at the same time, we're kind of known for just squeaking by. So it was nice to have a victory where they kind of literally, ran the table, if you will. Our running game's awesome. Our offensive line, in my opinion, is the best in the league. Tom Cable, man, I have so much crow to eat with that. I couldn't stand Tom Cable 2 years ago. Last year, he did a phenomenal job, and this year, we're down to our 5th right tackle, and they're not skipping a beat. So he's done an incredible job. The defense actually didn't look lost, but again, it was Drew Lock. Arden Key got a pretty good hit on him early on, and that took him out of the game completely. He was kind of seeing seeing ghosts? Is that what it was?
Makes sense.
Yeah. So no, it's good, man. This week, I'm taking Kansas City minus 14.5 if I can find it. But man, if they can find a way to beat Kansas City again, I'm speaking a completely different tune about this team. But I just don't see that happening.
I mean, you guys got a good team, so you guys are hitting the right stride at the right time. You're going to start getting players back healthy, just out of not paying attention enough to your line. I mean, who's playing guard for you right now? Who are your 2 guards?
So it's supposed to be Richie Incognito is our left guard, and Gabe Jackson's our right guard. But now it's Denzel Good, who's been fantastic. John Simpson gets a little bit here and there, gets a few plays in, but not too much. The big one's right tackle, and man, talk about missing. Here's one. Brandon Parker. He's actually been playing left tackle because Colton Miller's third also. Brandon Parker, I think it was the Senior Bowl. 3 years ago. 3 years ago. He was horrible. And I remember talking to you about him because in the one-on-one drills, he got destroyed.
Oh, yeah.
And then all of a sudden, the Raiders trade up to get him in the 3rd round, and he has been atrocious. Absolutely, in my opinion, the worst tackle I've ever seen in my life, and that's including Kwame Harris.
Ooh.
And then all of a sudden, 3 weeks ago, he comes in to play right tackle, and he actually looks good. And last week he comes in to play left tackle, and he looked fantastic. And then a couple days ago he played left tackle again, and he was okay. He didn't have a great game, but like I can't believe it's the same guy. I really can't. Like that's just miraculous to me. So they can find a way to beat Kansas City. I will be a much more optimistic person, but I just don't see it. Now they just put Cleveland Farrell on the COVID list. Lamarcus Joyner just got put on the COVID list. Um,
Ah,
I'm assuming it's close contact, but
that's
whatever.
so much fun. The COVID list is the blast. I love how they put people that come in close contact, and I like how they just pick out of a random hat
Yeah,
because Josh Norman was on the COVID list. Granted, I hope he just never plays for us again because he's not doing good at all. He got put on the COVID list, but then our number 2 corner got put on the list because of close contact. Our safety, and then another random player got put on the list. So it's like, okay, how is it a safety and a random like offensive player when he's supposed to be our number 2 corner? How is our number 1 corner not with him all the time? Like
yep.
that's just practice. So you mean to tell me they were separate in practice? Okay, I get it. Um, yeah, it's just a joke. It's a joke. But you guys are hitting stride. I mean, your defense. I don't know if the stat was correct. Probably like you guys gave up like 1 yard or something. It was something ridiculous that you
At
guys
one
gave.
point it was 2. Yeah, but I mean the typical. We do the prevent a lot too. So at the end, Locke was able to move the ball pretty easily. Then he
Yeah.
still threw an interception too. But yeah, I mean, the defense played well, but again, man, Key hit Locke early, and he was just out of it the rest of the game. He hit him hard, and that was it. That was kind of the end of the game there. So at halftime, it was 10-6. So it was the dominoes fell in our direction, so that was good. So on to next week.
Good, good. Yeah, we're on to 2 weeks from now because we got a bye week, which is much needed. But interesting weekend in football. I mean, there were definitely some games that were a little bit of a shocker to me. I'll just touch on them quickly. We could dive into anyone that we want. I know we want to spend some time talking about some college football this week, but love that the Colts beat the Titans. That was a little bit of a shocker to me. The Bucks putting an absolute hurt on the Panthers was a little bit weird to me. Packers squeaking out once again, one against the Jags. Then you come down to the final ones where good old I'm going to eat a dub came in the game and beat the 49ers. And then, of course, finally, where I continue my bandwagon of saying Lamar Jackson's overrated, the Patriots beat the Ravens pretty handily. So those are ones that popped out to me. Anything in particular that I know I basically took all the crazy games, but anything that you wanted to touch on or talk about?
I know it was Thursday, but the Colts really impressed me against the Titans. I, I
Absolutely.
I was one that I'm still not sure that I'm there because I feel like the teams aren't going against the Colts offense the proper way as far as a scheme goes. The Colts have a phenomenal offensive line. You give anyone that amount of time, they're going to be able to pick apart a defense. But knowing Rivers has absolutely no arm anymore. His arm is just dead. I would think they'd be playing a lot more man coverage, tight in your face, bump and run defense to make him beat you deep. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I would think, and I feel like their teams aren't doing that.
The
You know, I
problem,
I would have him, man. Okay, we get it. Your line is filthy. Beat us with your arm.
there's only 2 problems with that, and one of them is a player that I was huge on coming out of college, and the other one is just Mo Alley Cox. I mean, the one that I'm talking about is Hines, the running back Hines out of North Carolina State. I was so high on him coming out of college. I thought he was going to be an absolute stud. He's not the greatest running back in the world because he's quick, he's fast, he's starting to learn, he's starting to understand that you can't just outrun everybody and you can't just hit the hole because the hole that you initially see may not actually be the hole when you get there. He's using his eyes now, and he's a safety net for him, and they're using him just phenomenally. Where it's
Yeah,
on wheel routes out of the backfield, and then if not, you have Mo Alley Cox just running out and doing a quick out. And that's what's saving him. Where to your point, I would absolutely blitz the hell out of him and make him and play man coverage, press man, and bully those wide receivers because they only got one big wide receiver, and he's coming off of injury, Michael Pittman Jr. So that's what I would do, and just hope that you get burned by the running backs and tight ends because, I mean, Mo Cox, as soon as he catches the ball, I mean, it's like he has to deliver a piano, a pizza, and something else. I mean, he's not moving, so you can come and tackle him, but it's a smart safety net.
Yeah, it's interesting to me. I just don't know what to think about them, but I really thought they would beat the Titans, or the Titans would beat them. I really thought that, so I was very surprised by that. Another one too. You talked about the Bucks Panthers. Man, at halftime that was 17-17. That game. You know what I mean?
Like, it just blew up.
Yeah, the Panthers just they're not as bad as their record shows. They are going to be very good in a couple of years. They really are. Potentially even next year. The Bucks just came out. They made their adjustments at halftime, and that was it. As far as NFL goes, I'm excited to see 2020 Jameis. And by 2020, I don't mean the year, I mean the vision. Looking forward to seeing how he does. That should be really interesting. I'm of the belief that he is absolutely a starting NFL quarterback. So I'm very curious. Obviously, you don't want to see an injury to Drew Brees, but if you have to pick a bright spot there, it's getting to see 2020 Jameis.
I mean, I'm of the belief that he's got the ability to be a quarterback. I'm not of the belief that he has the brains to be a starting NFL quarterback. I saw some of his plays that he was doing for New Orleans last week against the 49ers, and you just look at him and you're just like, oh, Jameis. Some things just never change. But it's going to be interesting to see if they actually roll with him or if they're going to stick to their guns and what they've talked about for the past 2 years. If it's Hill time, if Hill's going to be the starting quarterback, if you're going to put him in and try to play. I don't believe they will because he's just too much of a value to do all those gadget plays. But that would be a cool topic or cool thing to talk about in the future, that if he did use him, because I would definitely love to see that.
I agree. The only other one I wanted to talk about is I feel so bad for Allen Robinson. So bad. Everybody's talking about the Jets, and rightfully so. They're horrible. Okay, they're the worst team in the league, and no one's really questioning that. But if you look at the offensive stats, the Jets are last in the league in almost everything. Points per game, yards per play, total duration, like play duration as far as drives go. They are last in the league in everything, 32 in everything. The Bears are 31 in everything.
Nice.
Everything. They are horrible on offense. And I feel so bad because Allen Robinson is a stud, and he just has garbage throwing him the ball. Foles looks horrible. My feeling on Trubisky, like, oh my God, holy Christ, man. It's bad.
They're real bad. And they also have one of my favorite young wide receivers, too, that I wanted my Buffalo Bills to draft, Anthony Miller.
I loved Anthony Miller, man.
Anthony Miller coming out of Memphis was just a stud.
Yeah, he was.
His first year in the league, he was a stud. And the dude has so much talent. So you think about a 1-2 punch, Robinson and Miller. I mean, that's what you look for. You look for a guy that can be a consistent 100-yard receiver every single game, who's not going to blow the wheels off anybody, but can do every single route on the route tree, which you have in Robinson. And then you have Miller, who I believe he doesn't get enough credit for his route running ability, but he can do blow the lid off the defense, and that's what you need. I mean, they have the tools. They have the players there. It's just an unfortunate scenario. It's just very – I feel bad for him. And I can feel bad for him because they're not in the AFC. We both can.
Yeah, I agree. They have Darnell Mooney, too. He's been playing pretty well from Tulane.
Yeah.
I liked him a lot, too. They still have Riley Ridley, who's been on and off. But, man, they have weapons,
For sure.
They really do. They have weapons. I just cannot get over how bad the QB play is there. It's so bad.
I mean, that's a perfect segue into bad QB play. I mean, do we want to talk about Lamar Jackson?
My opinion. I mean, it's not his fault that the defenses are calling out the plays.
I thought that was hilarious when he said that, where the coach was basically just like, yeah, like they're repeating what you're saying. Like most times it's not that hard for a defense to figure out not exactly what play you're calling, but what coverage you're calling. And I think that's what Lamar doesn't understand because he's not a quarterback. If the quarterback yells
Stop it.
if a
Just
quarterback
stop.
yells Rhonda, Rebecca, Rita, Raphael to anybody on the field, what is that telling your offensive line? That's telling your offensive line that we want the blocking scheme to go to the right. If he's yelling LaDasha, LaFonda, lettuce, it means go to the left. So when he's yelling out his coverages and the defense is doing the absolute same thing to counteract it, and then he freaks out because he can't throw the ball, you're going to lose. You're going to lose. People are figuring him out. Is he still a weapon? Absolutely. He could definitely take over games and win games with his legs. I think if you try to make him a quarterback and make him throw the ball, he hasn't proved it. He can't prove it. He can't throw the ball. And he's going to lose wide receivers because of it. Hollywood is going to leave. Hollywood is not happy there at all.
Well, Hollywood can't leave for a while, so.
I know. He's stuck for a little while, but he's absolutely going to leave.
You just said Lamar Jackson is not a quarterback.
No.
Oh, my God.
He's a running back that can throw. I wouldn't even put him as a running back. I'd put him as a wide receiver that can throw.
If anybody out there is interested in potentially becoming my new co-host, please apply. I was going to say career builder, but I'm not going to do that. We'll put it up on Twitter.
I was about to say,
comment below if you're interested in being the new co-host.
Yeah, I would love for Rob to put something out on Twitter saying, please apply for this. So that would mean log into Twitter and put something out there for us, please. I digress. But
Unbelievable. Like, I wore your favorite shirt, by the way.
which one's that? Oh, is that the? Yep.
It is. Watch yourself.
Yep.
But yeah, it's your favorite.
Yep. For anybody that wants to see what Rob's talking about, make sure you watch the video on YouTube. But I will just leave it at that.
Let's just say it's a Majestic brand button-down Raiders baseball jersey.
All that's missing is a teardrop.
But, because of the Hail Mary you're talking about, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm never going to be happy. Now, as soon as that happened, too, I looked at the schedule. I'm like, we're going 0-4. We're not going to make the playoffs. I'm like, we're done. But the Dolphins are putting on the heat. But we play them once more, and we play the Patriots once more. So I think we could be all right. On to this week real quick, just going over some particular big-time matchups. I don't particularly see any big-time matchups. It's a very weird week to pick. I mean, if you're doing a pick 'em pool, it's definitely tough because now you're towards the end of the year, and now you know what teams are good and you know what teams are bad. But you also have teams that are hurt. So interesting game that I would love to see, and I'm sticking with the Bengals. I want to watch the Bengals more. Bengals against Washington. Alex Smith played a pretty damn good game last game that he played. So, I mean, it's a great story. Love to see it. And then the Bengals, it's good to see Joe Burrow. Even though the Bengals are without, what's his name, who just got released, McKinney?
Yeah.
Because he failed his physical. So he's back on the waiver wire. So he'll be a Raider soon.
Tack, dude.
But anything next week that you want to see? I know you said you don't have faith in your team. Bills are on a bye.
Green Bay, Indianapolis should be good. That should be able to help me answer some of the questions I had earlier about the Colts. Man, if they can get a dub on Green Bay, that's saying something.
True, and then I discounted the Rams and Bucks. I mean, the Rams, we didn't talk about it. The Rams beat Seattle, and Seattle was claimed as to be the team to beat. Buffalo beat them, but then now the Rams beat them, so Seattle's not looking exactly what they should be. Their offense is kind of stagnant. Their defense is non-existent.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see if the Rams actually are bouncing back, and it's a perfect opponent to bounce back against. I mean, it's definitely a tough game.
Can we talk about college football?
Absolutely.
So what's interesting and, topic of many conversations out there is the dreadful, horrific, horrendous, awful start for Penn State and Michigan. But at the same, and what's incredible about it is, me with how much I value the pass rush. And I feel like the pass rush is, one of the most important aspects of the game. And both of them, between the two teams, and granted, I know there's injuries in here too, but There's 4 edge defenders coming out of those 2 teams this year, potentially more, but the 4 that really caught my eye. And it's surprising to see the teams doing that bad with a pass rush like that. At Penn State, I know everybody seems to have Jason Away over Shaka, but I'm not there yet. I don't really understand why so many people are down on Shaka Tony. Personally, I think he's pretty good, and I think he might be better than Jason Away is, in my opinion. And at Michigan, Hutchinson, I know, broke his leg. He's out for the year. But Kwity Paye is a dog, bro. He is a dog. He's nasty. There's some good edge rushers coming out of those 2 teams, but the teams themselves are terrible. Absolutely terrible.
I mean, you were nice about it. Like, that was a nice way to put it. I mean, that's one of the things that I had up on my screen here to just look over. Michigan is atrocious. They are probably one of the worst football teams. It's gonna be funny when they go up against Rutgers. Like, I think that'll be a battle because just how it is, and this just goes to show, and it's going to be interesting to see what Michigan does. Where in a year with Corona, where universities across the nation are down in revenue, they're still getting their TV splits based upon if they're a big conference. That's just how it works. Unless they're new to the big conference, then they might not have the full share of it yet. Trust me, I know about this. And Michigan is going to get their big cut, but how much money do they have out to Jim Harbaugh right now? And can they walk away from it? And is there going to be donor uprising where they are begging to walk away from it, which is crazy to say, but he needs to be gone. He doesn't know how to groom quarterbacks. He can't get quarterbacks. He can get the defensive players. The problem is you can't score any points. You're going to tire out your defense. They're going to get killed. I mean, Wisconsin's a good football team. I mean, they're number 10 in the nation for a reason. But 49-11, you mean to tell me a Michigan team loses 49-11 to a number 10 Wisconsin? I just don't see it. In the past, that would never be the case.
Yeah. When Harbaugh left San Francisco, I was really, really, really into him joining the Raiders. I wanted him so bad. And it came down to us in Michigan. And my buddy at the time was just he just kept saying, just keep in mind, every 4 years, Harbaugh wears out his welcome. And I just kind of ignored it. And in 4 years is, just a kind of a judge point. It's not exactly 4 years. And honestly, he nailed it. Did the same thing with San Francisco. He's doing it at Michigan. So many people want him out of there now.
Yep.
Apparently there's a lot of people that just don't like playing for him, apparently. From what I hear, I've never talked to the guy. I don't know any of the players, obviously. Just from what I hear, and it could be complete BS, but that's interesting that happened again. I mean, it wasn't 4 years. I think this is, the 6th year with Michigan or something like that?
I think so.
I think it was 15, so whatever that is. That's interesting to me. But a team that's really fun to watch, if you and again, Andy and I are going to be kind of getting a little bit more into it now, and kind of putting up some draft strategies. I want to figure out how to get some tape on here too, so we can kind of dissect a couple plays. One team that is really fun to watch, especially defensively, is Cincinnati. I don't know if you've had a chance to watch them yet. That scheme is awesome, man. That is the most hybrid defensive scheme I've ever seen. They are in a different formation every single play. They line up all over the place, and they have a lot of guys coming out too. That linebacker they have, Jarrell White, is fun, man. He's short. He's going to get knocked for his size. It's going to happen. But he's a ball player, bro. He's good. I like him a lot. But Cincinnati in general has been a lot of fun to watch. A lot of fun.
I mean, college football in general is fun to watch. When you mean to tell me that in the top 10 rankings right now for college football, you have Cincinnati, BYU, and Indiana. And you mean to tell me that's not fun? That's a blast, man. That's teams that you normally wouldn't get in there, that are in there. Granted, you never know with COVID and certain teams not playing, restrictions, how it's going. But I mean, the top 25 this year is it's fantastic to see. I mean, you have Tulsa, Lafayette, you have Liberty in there. I mean, you have Marshall, Coastal Carolina. you have teams that are not household names with players that normally wouldn't get the burn that they would. I mean, we would see them, we would talk about them because that's how deep we go into it. But yeah, it's awesome. I mean, Cincinnati to you, because you've watched Cincinnati, is Indiana to me. I've been watching Indiana a lot. And there are two players that I fell in love with Indiana. I mean, one is their wide receiver, Ty Freifogel. So he's 6'2", 214, and dude can run every route on the tree. He's just fantastic out there. They use him in the slot and they use him outside. So it's just amazing to see him out there in his progression. It's a left-handed quarterback too. Penix is their quarterback, and he's just a giant. He's a lefty quarterback who just understands the offense. He's not going to make all the crazy throws. He has a big arm, which is great. He can be a pro prospect. He'll probably be a fifth and on round guy. But they have all the pieces, and they just play smart football. So they're a team to watch because they're in first right now in the Big Ten. So it's definitely something that's going to be interesting to see because, I mean, them and Ohio State, they play Ohio State tough every single year.
Yeah.
And they're about to play Ohio State this weekend, this Saturday at noon. I mean, that's just going to be a blast just to watch that game, to see if these guys can actually stand up to it. So Freifogel can actually – he's going to have to go up against pro cornerbacks. Ohio State is a factory for pro corners.
They are.
So let's see what he can do, and that's what I'm looking forward to this weekend.
He also Indiana has one of my favorite names in the draft. And this year – we have some great names coming out this year. But Whop Philyor, I don't know how the last name's pronounced. But Whop, W-H-O-P, Whop Philyor, I think it's called. That's an outstanding name. Outstanding name.
I like that.
Yeah. But no, there's some, as you saw, J.C. Horn is officially declaring. He declared, so he's done for the rest of this year in college. Good for him. Good move because he's locked as a first-round pick right now. Potentially the best corner in the draft. He's been outstanding. And man, dude, you mentioned it before, Liberty again. Malik Willis, dude. At first I was kidding a little bit, kind of kidding, not really.
No way. You love him.
I now, dude. I'm all in. Dude, all in. I mean, I took the wedding ring off.
I mean, he's Auburn product. Just didn't get the shot that he needed. Came home, quote unquote. Yeah, I mean, he's good, but people keep forgetting Liberty has a good coach.
Oh, they do. They absolutely do. But at the same time, you can watch some of these quarterbacks, and see them put up numbers, and you can watch their mechanics and say, okay, this isn't going to work in the NFL. You can make him work in the NFL. You absolutely could. You definitely could. And I've been getting some grief on Twitter for this too, but De'Ara King is another one. He is absolutely an NFL quarterback.
That game was not pretty.
No, it wasn't. But
I watched that game, and it was not pretty at all. Which was unfortunate because I thought it was actually going to be a really good game, and I was going to see if your hype was real, but it wasn't real for me at that moment in time.
It was a rough week, but he's good.
I mean, the hype is real though on the Florida Gator train. If they didn't lose that game earlier this year, whew, Kyle Trask is legit. I don't want to talk about him. I mean, Kadarius Toney, he's a wide receiver stud, 5'11", fast, can catch everything. He's ridiculously good. And he has to step up every week because arguably the best tight end in the entire college rankings right now didn't play. And they just straight up spanked Arkansas. I mean, I'm not tooting my horn on Arkansas, but because Arkansas is normally not that great, and they also played against their old starting quarterback and Felipe Franks, who is somebody that I saw as one of the worst college quarterbacks when he did play for Florida, because I do watch a lot of Florida football. So, yeah, I mean, it's interesting. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun to dive in a little bit more each and every week to these particular games. I mean, it'd be cool if we started dividing up some of these big-time games and some of these small-time games. Like, I need to watch more Coastal Carolina. Like, I need to.
I hear you.
Why? I don't know. But they're in the top 25, so they're doing something right. So I want to see why. I want to see either if it's the coaching staff, it's the scheme, if it's the players, if it's the level of opponent that they're playing. I want to see that, especially because I don't know if there's going to be bowl games.
Yeah. No, I hear you. I understand. Florida has a couple defenders too that are a good watch. I'm still kind of getting into them a little bit, but Ventrell Miller, the linebacker,
yep.
He's a good one to watch. Absolutely. Jeremiah Moon. He he looks athletic as hell. Like he looks like just a massive human being. He's like 6'6", but he's like only like 220, I think, off the edge. But he's another one that's good. I know they have Bernie also, Amari Bernie. Um, there's it's another one of these smaller linebackers. I don't know what it is, and when I say smaller, I mean height smaller. Um, I love it. I don't know why. I've always been attracted to smaller linebackers from a scouting perspective because they're able to navigate through the line so much better, in my opinion. And a lot of times the quarterbacks can't see them because their offensive line is 6'7", 6'8". You know, um, there's some good ones coming out, but it's definitely been a fun year so far. We got to figure out how to get some video on here. Maybe you know how to do it, but definitely want to start breaking down some plays. That would be fun. That would
Yeah.
be a good time.
Yeah, we can absolutely do it. And if there's anything that anybody wants to see in particular, let us know. I mean, let us know if there's a player you want to talk about, if there's a team that you're a fan of that you want us to find a player on there that somebody may not talk about, where it's like we'll even look at Clemson film where everybody's talking about Trevor Lawrence, but you may not know about the starting guard that we can break down his footage of somebody that could be a 4th or 5th round pick, depending upon what year he is and if he's going out. We're more than happy to do so. Which brings us to our time for this week. So really appreciate it, guys. Of course, we would appreciate it more if you could give us a follow on our social media. So you can find us on Instagram and Twitter at _War Room 33.
If you're watching on YouTube, like, subscribe, hit the little notification bell. That way we can find you. You don't have to find us. And like Andy said, comment below. Anything you want to talk about, football-wise, of course, or grilling too. We like to chat about grilling.
Yeah, we can't get into it, but Rob did send me more porn.
Oh, it was a good weekend. It was a great weekend. It was good.
We'll leave it. Maybe we'll put that out on Twitter so that you guys can see what I'm talking about.
Andy, you'll have to do that because I don't know how.
All right, everybody.
Have a good one.
Take care.
Later.